you would have licked your lips seeing that the Mavs got through rather than the Suns, surely.
Someone asked me that today, this afternoon after the game, and I was fairly 50-50 on it. I would have had the same confidence either way because the Warriors found their starting lineup again in Game 6. So they had Gary Payton II starting the first game and then the start of Game 2, and then he goes down with the Dillon Brooks flagrant foul, obviously, fractures his elbow, he's out. And then we see Jonathan Kuminga for 3 games, which was pretty random to have a 19-year-old rookie come out and be the starting power forward on a team that wants to win the championship. I thought that was interesting. I could see why they did it, and there's credit to that if he were to play at the kind of simplified role where he's just hitting or attempting the odd 3 and just running in transition and cutting to the rim, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, there are too many times early on in games where he's putting the ball on the floor, driving into the paint. He's being asked to be a decision maker / passer, and that's just not going to work. Turnovers happen. Whatever else, Warriors get off to slow starts. Game 6, something had to change. They went back to Kevon Looney, and Kevon Looney had 22 rebounds and 11 offensive, and the Warriors had 70 rebounds as a team in Game 6, 25 offensive rebounds, which the Warriors are kind of known for their small ball, fast style of play. So for them to have 70 rebounds in a game, for Kevon Looney to come out and have 22, is just, that's up there with the Grant Williams 7 threes, 25 points leading Boston today. Quite unbelievable. Now, the issue is the Warriors would have thought after that game, yep, we found our starting lineup again, Steph, Clay, Wiggs, Dre, Looney. That would work, I think, against Phoenix, who have got Ayton. My problem against Dallas is that they basically play 5 out. Luka's the ball handler. Luka goes to work. And yes, Dwight Powell starts and he doesn't shoot too many threes, but Maxi Kleber plays most of the minutes at the center position. He averages 4.5 3-point attempts per game. And so now I'm going to have Kevon Looney out on the perimeter guarding Kleber and not around the comfort of the paint. That's my worry with that starting lineup. My other worry is the fact that, yes, they started Looney, but there was no issue for Memphis without Ja. There's no one on the perimeter that is looking to hunt Kevon Looney, get switched onto Kevon Looney, and can necessarily take Kevon Looney on the perimeter. Like, Desmond Bane had a back issue. Dillon Brooks was really good in Game 6, don't get me wrong, but he's not a guy that's going to look at Kevon Looney and say, I'm targeting that guy. I just think Luka is going to try and target a couple of these Warrior players, Steph for the mismatch in size, and then Looney for the mismatch in craftiness, I guess, and just the fact that Looney's a center at the end of the day. So that's my worry, is the fact that I'm not actually sure. I'm very confident the Warriors are going to start Looney, but I'm not sure. He played 35 minutes against the Grizzlies in that Game 6. I'm not sure it's going to be viable for him to play 35 minutes against the Mavs, who play kind of this 5-out style and shoot a lot of threes. So that's kind of my worry about the Mavs compared to if we were playing the Suns, and the fact that it would have been Ayton out there, and that way it's much more viable for Looney to start when he's matched up directly on Ayton. So that's just my issue there. So that was why I thought Phoenix were the better and going to be the tougher team, but that matchup-wise, Dallas, there's an issue there with that Looney. And the problem for the Warriors is they've got these injuries, GP2, obviously, Otto Porter missing Game 6, he's touch and go kind of thing. And I think when we come to these conference finals and later end of the playoffs, if I'm a coach, I'm looking at how many players do I have here that are playable guys that I can trust in these situations. And I think these two teams are getting down to, if we're getting to Game 6s and Game 7 of this series, which I think will happen, I have the Warriors 4-3. I think just back on their home floor for Game 7, I think the Warriors will get it done 4-3. I think Luka's magic will get the Mavericks probably 3 wins in Dallas maybe, and then we'll see if he can repeat his heroics from today on the road. But yeah, going back to the two teams and the guys I can trust out there, you have the Warriors with their starters, assuming Looney does start, and then Jordan Poole. And then that was my issue going into Game 6 against Memphis was, who else do I trust? I don't want Kuminga out there necessarily, although I get the point of him being out there. I don't really want Damian Lee. Then I saw in the third quarter and early fourth quarter, I think I saw Bielitsa and Looney playing together. And I was like, oh boy, that is not what is going to work against a Dallas team. Luka's just going to have a field day if those two are out there at any point. So that's not going to work. So really, Otto Porter needs to be fit and healthy and able to play at least 25, 30 minutes here, because if you've got the starters, Jordan Poole, that's 6, I trust. Otto Porter's the 7th guy, and that's where the injury to GP2 hurts, because he'd be another guy where I think he would actually start, like he did at the start of the Memphis series. I think he'd start in this situation with with the Mavericks shooting in the 5-out system, being another player that can switch onto Luka, and Luka's going to cook anyone, but GP2 can at least have a crack at him as a primary defender. So, yeah, the Warriors probably only have 7 guys right now that are fit. If Otto Porter's fit, there's only 7 guys I really trust there that I want out there. And from the Mavericks' perspective, you've got their starting 5, and then Dinwiddie, who we talked about, huge today, and then Kleber. That's 7 blokes. If I see Davis Bertans or Frank Ntilikina on the floor in this series, I'm going to think we have a good chance. If I'm a Warriors fan, I'm going to think we have a pretty good chance in those situations. So if I'm a Dallas fan, I don't want to see any Davis Bertans or Frank Ntilikina out there, and these things are getting real, real desperate. So, yeah, we might get to a point here, Game 6s and 7, where there's only 7 guys being played from either team, and everyone's playing. We saw in that Game 6 against the Grizzlies, we saw all the starters basically playing 40-plus minutes, which was the first time that's basically happened all season. So I've got the Warriors 4-3. The Luka matchup is fascinating because you can't stop him. You can't stop him. I think Andrew Wiggins is going to have first crack at him. Draymond Green, we said in the group chat today, I think he's break glass in case of emergency. I've seen a lot of people think or say, why don't you just send Draymond to Luka straight away? I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want Draymond as that second line of defense, as the orchestrator of the defense, rather than necessarily being the primary defender on Luka. And the other perspective for me, if they do start Looney, is the aggression of Draymond Green, because he played with an intensity and aggression that I hadn't seen from him all season, or maybe at the start of the season I saw it. But that guy took 14 field goal attempts, which you think 14 field goal attempts, yeah, cool, whatever. But Grant Williams had 17 three-point attempts today. But that was Draymond Green's most field goal attempts for 2.5 years, since the end of 2019. So his aggression, his intensity, which at times bordered on recklessness in that Game 6 because he had a few turnovers as well. But I'd rather him do that and border between great aggression and recklessness than be passive and not even look at the rim. And when you've got Looney out there as another non-offensive player, Draymond Green's probably going to have to take at minimum 10, 12 shots per game in this series.